we warmly welcome the family of Private Alan Christopher Redfern, whose story will be told shortly. We are honoured to acknowledge Dato Muhammad Amir bin Harun, Under-Secretary of Policy and Strategic Planning, Malaysia, and Villa Ame Bovero, Director of the Pacific Fusion Centre, and their accompanying delegations. We also warmly welcome Mr. Peter Baldwin, President of the Returned and Services League of Australia, ACT Branch, Air Commodore Peter McDermott, retired, representing the Air Force Association, and the delegation representing RSL Queensland. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family, visitors to the memorial, and students on behalf of St Andrew's School visiting from Walkerville, South Australia, and Ryan Catholic College visiting from Curwen, Queensland. Australia's Federation Guard is the tri-service ceremonial unit of the Australian Defence Force. They provide a ceremonial presence at civil and military events and during visits to Australia by foreign dignitaries. The Guard will now dismount the catapult party from the tomb of the unknown Australian soldier. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Federal Party, attention! Federal Party, present out!
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. With golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is got by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Federal Party, shoulder out! Federal Party, order out!
If you are able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Alan Christopher Redfern. Alan Redfern was born on the 13th of November 1930 in Derbyshire, England. Known as Chris, his early life appears to have been unsettled. He and his sister Barbara were sent to London, where they became wards at the Fairbridge Farm schools. Along with a number of other boys at Fairbridge Farm schools, Redfern sailed from London aboard the Orient liner Orford on the 19th of June 1937, bound for Melbourne, Australia. He and the other children were the first child migrant intake to be sent to the newly established Lady Northcote Farm School near Bacchus Marsh. It was a tough life for the boys, rising at 6 a.m. for a cold shower, then dorm duties, followed by military-style exercises in a nearby paddock. This was followed by breakfast that usually consisted of porridge, bread and jam. The boys then departed for Glenmore State School, which was a short walk from the farm. After school, farm chores awaited. Conditions were often harsh and at times brutal. As a break from work and schooling, the boys played cricket during the summer and soccer in the winter. Some boys also hunted rabbits to sell their pelts and hiked in the nearby Brisbane Ranges. Chris was joined by his sister Barbara in May the following year, when the second intake of children arrived, mostly siblings of the first intake. During the Second World War, child immigrant numbers dwindled at the farm. As a result, in 1944, the Northcote Farm School was closed and most of the children, including Chris, were relocated to the Fairbridge Farm School at Molong in New South Wales. By this time, Chris was 14 years old and had likely left school to become a full-time farm worker. He joined the Australian Army's Special Force for Korea, known as K-Force, at Marrickville, Sydney, on the 2nd of August 1951. After his basic and infantry training, he was sent as a reinforcement to Japan, arriving in mid-December. At the end of the month, he was hospitalised after suffering a knee injury, but was back with the 1st Reinforcement Holding Unit by mid-January 1952. To prepare for the rigours of combat in Korea, he was sent to the battle school at Haramura. He was then posted to Korea to join the 3rd Battalion, the Royal Australian Regiment, on April 3rd, 1952. He was assigned to 12 Platoon, D Company. By this stage, what had been a war of movement with sweeping advances and retreats had largely settled into stalemate along the fixed line across the middle of the Korean peninsula. Armistice negotiations had begun, but were proceeding slowly. With both sides dug in, heavy fighting to gain key ground still occurred in places, but no further large-scale general offensive took place. Redfern likely took part in a fighting patrol into no man's land 2 nights after joining his battalion. On the 15th of April, relief elements from a British battalion began to arrive, and advance parties from 3 RAR began exiting the front line and going into reserve. In the early hours of the 17th of April, those members of 3 RAR still in the front line were preparing to move back. At 11:45 a.m, 2 Chinese mortar rounds were fired into 3 RAR's position, both landing in D Company's area. Redfern was hit by shrapnel and killed instantly. His remains were taken to Busan, where they were laid to rest on the 23rd of April in the United Nations Memorial Cemetery. Redfern was 21 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among the 340 Australians who died as a result of their service during the Korean War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Alan Christopher Redfern, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
Shoulder, arms.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
Demo party, present. Arms. Demo party, shoulder, arms.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget.
Demo party. Outwards. Turn. Demo party. Quick. March.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere, or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.